Welcome to the Own It podcast with me, Nicole Holler, where we're going to talk about stuff to help you get out of your way, take charge of your life, and, well, other stuff too. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Own It podcast. I am sitting here in my office doing this podcast, and it is pouring rain outside because being that I live in South Florida, we are in the middle of a hurricane season, and we happen to be in a situation where they're just coming at Florida one after another. Fortunately, we are not in what us Floridians like to call the cone of death. However, it doesn't mean that we are not affected by rain and flooding, down power lines and things of that nature. And I had this conversation, I feel like I have it every hurricane season, as I watched people around me go into a complete and total panic about what's going to happen if they don't have power, what's going to happen if they don't have whatever, water, a downed tree, whatever it might be. Power is always a big one because power is the thing we tend to lose the most. We can lose it for a few hours. We've lost it for weeks at a time. I remember many years ago not having power for 2 weeks. And I try to pause people and say, what is the biggest thing that you fear? And they're like, no, having no power. What am I going to do? I'm like, for what? What is it about having no power that you fear? Is it that you're not going to have air conditioning? You're not going to have hot water? Eventually that tank's going to empty. And I can tell you this much, that first shower after the hurricane, when you have no power, it actually feels pretty good because it's cool and you're hot and sticky. Is it because you're not going to be able to play video games, watch TV, go online, cook? You're afraid of your food going bad? It doesn't matter what topic we're talking about. The loss of power is the bigger issue. What is it that the loss of power is going to do to you or for you or affect you in what way? And people panic, and then I ask them to kind of narrow it down, because once you can narrow down what your fear is, you can address it. It seems to me that in this super amazing day of technology and all of the things we have so many comforts and conveniences right before us. No matter really our economic situation, most people have power, right? They can cook, even if it's not the most amazing food sometimes. Most people have shelter over their head. Most people have the availability. The people who are worried about all of these things have all of those things and the creature comforts of the good fortune of living in the first world society that we do. With that said, I ask them, what is it the thing that you're fearing most? And they might be like, what if I lose all my food? Okay, if that is a concern, perhaps you want to transfer some of your frozen foods with dry ice into a big cooler and separate it to things that you are going to be able to use. And then there's that deep freeze that you just don't touch. And then, you wing it. Hopefully you only lose power for a day, maybe 2, and it would be okay. Is it because you want to be able to have air conditioning? Do you have the ability to get a generator, a fan in some capacity in order to put it in your house? Are you worried about not being able to eat at all? Can you buy canned goods, some other non-perishables? What are the things that are going to be most impactful to you, and address them in advance? Because what I tend to see is people go into a panic. It's sort of like anxiety, and they get in what I like to call life VFib. Like in a heart, it might go into a VFib or AFib and it just starts to flutter and not do its job. And then you shock it to get it back into sort of its normal rhythm. And people tend to do that sometimes in life when they panic. Let's slow down and figure out what the real problem is and address that problem. So using this hurricane as the example, remind yourself how capable and resourceful you are. Sometimes some of these catastrophes, if you will, are actually put in front of us to remind us that we're very capable, but we tend to go to our shortest muscle, meaning the limited use of our ability. You really are capable. You will find a way to make coffee so you don't murder everybody in your household, I promise. That might be a pot on the stove. If you're worried about that, go buy some instant coffee. I'm sorry it's not your fresh brewed Starbucks or whatever your thing is. Like, can you get through? Can you find a way to get through something that's uncomfortable? And I believe that you can. I believe that we all can, and we have those abilities and resourcefulness inside of us in order to recognize that we have access around us. Now, I happen to live in an area where most of our power lines are on a pole. That creates a problem when trees go flying and transformers blow. There are areas around me where they've buried power lines, so it's less likely for them to lose power than my area. Do you have friends in that neighborhood? Maybe now's the time and opportunity that should something not so great happen, you'll have the opportunity to reach out to somebody who I'm certain would extend a shower, a bed, a cool home to you, just like you probably would. So sometimes it's an opportunity to rebuild connection when something not so great happens. What I'm basically talking about today is using this hurricane, in my case, as something to recognize that you are very capable and very resourceful when you need to be, but you need to allow yourself to be it. And that means get out of your state of panic. So when you are in a state of panic, figure out what it is that you need and plan and prepare for it. Like I said, is it the food? Go plan foods that you need. Do you not want to lose things? Plan and strategize. You're not sure what to do? Ask people for help. I just filled up a propane tank on the way to work. Why? Because, hey, we could possibly need it. And if we don't, well, then I have that backup propane tank available so that mid-grilling, we don't run out. I'm going to leave that for today, but I want you to remember that you are very capable and that you are very resourceful. And sometimes icky things happen to remind us of that. I hope you have an amazing day. And remember, this is your time. You can always find me at Nicole Holler Coaching on most social media platforms. And always remember, you can check out my website for any updates on things that I'm doing, events, books, and all of that. Have a great day.